Hi, welcome to Auntie's Parenting Tidbits, life hacks for the perfectly imperfect parent. Today I would like to discuss labeling our kids. So, uh, what I mean by labeling our kids is if your kid has a learning disability, your kid gets a label. If they're in school or preschool, they get a label. They get a label saying that they have that learning disability. In a lot of cultures, especially mine, being African American, these labels are dismissed. We don't want our kids labeled. We fight against having our kids labeled. We want our kids to be considered normal, typically developing. We fight against it. We say our kids don't have these things. I don't understand this. Why do you fight against it? Why don't we want our kids labeled? Why is saying that our kids are having problems such a dirty word in our households? Why don't we want our kids to have the help that they need? I have I have two kids who have official labels. I have a child who has ADHD. He is hearing impaired. I have a child who has hyperlexia and he is speech impaired. And I don't mind their labels. They're not dirty words in my house. They know their labels. We work with their labels. My only thing was I need to get them tested as early as possible when I was seeing problems. I want them as close to their peers as I can get them, and I want as much from the school, as many therapies as they can get from the school to get them as close to their peers as possible. I don't want them to have to struggle in school the way that I had to struggle in school. So I don't understand why we as parents want to watch our kids struggle. I don't understand why we think that we can spank our kids until they understand. That's not how it works. If your kid has a learning disability, if they're having a struggle, and I mean, if the teacher is seeing it and they're saying they need to get tested, let them get tested. If they're saying that they're having a learning disability and there's something that can be done, let it be done. If they need to go to resource, let them go to resource. Don't fight it. Don't get hung up on that label that's on a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. It does not change who your child is. Having extra help at school does not change who your child is. Okay, if you were in school and you were one of the kids that teased one of those children that had to go off into the extra classroom, apologize to those kids who are now adults and move on with your life and now help your kid. Don't let your kids suffer because of your ignorance when you were in school. Get your kid all of the help that they need. Don't make this a dirty word. Don't let your child suffer and struggle in school because of your ignorance when you were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to 18. You're not that anymore. You are now the adult. You are the parent in the room. There is no reason for you to let your kids struggle because you don't want them labeled because you want a typically developing child. That's not what you have. You now have an atypical developing child. You have a child that needs the extra help. You are now the one who has to go into a meeting and fight for your kid to get that extra help. And believe me, for every school district, there is going to be a fight. There is going to be a struggle to get your kid the help that they need. So that kid does not need that struggle to not only be with his teacher to get that help, but now it's with the parent to get that help because the parent is going into the school and saying, no, my kid is perfect. He's not this kid that you're saying that's struggling in school. My kid's perfect. It must be something with you. Instead of saying that, say, what can we do to get my child back where he needs to be? What are you going to do to help him? What can we do together to help him or her? Don't get hung up on the labels. Don't get hung up on ADHD, behavior disorder, hyperlexia, dyslexia, any of those labels that they want to put on your child. Don't get hung up on that. Get hung up on, okay, now we've got a name for what he's got or she's got. What are we going to do about it to help him or her learn? Because he or she needs to learn in the least restrictive environment. That doesn't mean putting my baby in a little classroom full of kids that are lower functioning than him or her. Nope. That means leaving him or her in the classroom they are in and getting them the help that they need. So that's the attitude that you need to go into, not getting so hung up on the words. You now have a word for what they have. That's great. That is wonderful, but that's not the part that we need to get hung up on. And that is the part that we tend to get hung up on. The part that we should be getting hung up on is what do we need to do to get our baby from point A to point B. And that is the services that we need. That's the part that we need to get hung up on. And that's the fight that we need to have, not the fight over the wording. The wording is done. The fight that we need to have is the fight that's going to be the hardest, and that's getting the services. Those are the fights that we need to have. And those are the fights that we can't even get to because we can't get past the words of my baby has an issue. So when you go into a meeting, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whoever's taking care of the child, who has the issue, please stop getting hung up on the words of my baby has a problem. Start getting hung up on what are we going to do about it. If they're not doing what you want them to do, leave the meeting. Say we're done. Don't be afraid to say that we are done if they're not doing what you want them to do. Don't walk out because you think that they're calling your kid a name because they're saying that your kid has a problem. Walk out because they're not doing what you think they should be doing to help your kid with the problem. Make sure that your kid is getting the help that they need. Make sure that the teachers are following IEPs. And believe me, I've been a teacher. I know that it is difficult to follow an IEP plan. But as a parent who has a child who has two children who are on them, I know that they are important for kids to be able to function in class and learn what they need to learn. I followed IEPs to the letter because I know how important they are. And I know that it is difficult when you have a class of 23 to follow IEPs. But I know that for that particular child, it was important for that kid to learn that way. So sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit. It means that I might have to teach so that that kid can learn for the entire class. And believe it or not, it helped the entire class because he wasn't the only one that needed to learn it that way. So, yeah, don't let teachers tell you that I can't teach it this way because he's the only one that needs this. No, he's not. He's just the only one that has it in writing. So, fight for your babies. Don't fight over the wording. Don't get caught up in the wording. Fight for your babies. Don't get caught up over that word. Don't get so hung up on not wanting your baby to be labeled. Ignore that label. That label is just a word on a piece of paper. Fight for your baby to get educated how they should be educated. Fight for those teachers to teach your baby how they should be taught. Stop getting hung up on the words. Words are just on a piece of paper. Nobody sees that paper but you and that teacher and the principal, whoever's in that meeting. Kids don't see that paper. That paper is just between y'all. Stop getting so hung up on those words. Those words are not important. Your baby learning is what's important. Fight for your baby to learn. Don't let your baby suffer because you're embarrassed by a word. I'm now off my soapbox, and we will be seeing you. Please subscribe to my channel. I will put some resources to learn more about ADA, more about IEPs in the description. My website will be in the description. I will put some resources on my website in the parenting tab. Please go to my website, and we'll be seeing you.